Alrighty, everyone, this is meteorologist Timmy Albertson here with you guys for tonight's weather chat with Timmy. Hey, before we go any further here, we're going to take a look at the tropics. This will kind of be a quick video tonight since it's a little bit late here. But for those of you who haven't heard me say it already about a million times, beginning next week, the location of where these weather chats are going to be posted will be changing. If you go to your web browser, type in awsc.live, that'll take you to the right page that you need to be subscribed to, and that is the one that has kind of a snowfall map on its page here. We'll go ahead and I'll see here if I can pull it up really quickly here for you guys to see, and then we're going to take a look at the tropics. So flip the screen over here really quickly, and so basically if you are subscribed to this page, this is not the one where the weather chats will be posted beginning next week. They're going to be posted to this one. You can tell it has that snowfall banner up at the top there. So just kind of keep that in mind. Again, the address for that is awsc.live. All right, let's take a look at the tropics, everyone. We got Phillippe, and Phillippe is not doing very well this evening. As a matter of fact, it's actually kind of beat up pretty badly, about 45-mile-an-hour winds. This thing is barely a tropical system. The rotation of this thing, the center of this thing is actually really elongated. Part of that's because of the wind shear. But something very interesting might be happening here with Phillippe. Now, this is not an unusual type of event here, but it's a very good example because not too far away from the east is our latest tropical system. And this one is Rina. Take a look here. Rina right now is a tropical storm, 40-mile-an-hour winds. Again, low end of the tropical storm category there. Fun fact for you about the name Rina is that's actually the replacement name for Rita. If you guys remember Hurricane Rita back in 2005, that one got its name retired, and Rina was the replacement name. So there you go. Every 6 years, the list of names repeats themselves as long as if a particular name gets retired, it just gets replaced. So this is see here, 1, 2, 3. This is about the third. This is the third Rina now we've had. All right, so this is Tropical Storm Rina. Let's take a look at these two here really closely. You can see there's Rina down at the bottom there. That's a satellite imagery. If you look to the far left of that satellite imagery, you can actually see Phillippe there. Again, Phillippe not very organized, and Rina is probably going to have a tough going too. It's kind of in an environment that also has a lot of wind shear in it. But what's interesting about the proximity of these two tropical cyclones, when we see this with areas of low pressure, it's called a binary interaction, and actually technically the full name for it is the Fujiwahra Effect is what that's called, the Fujiwahra Effect. It's when you get two low pressures that kind of orbit each other in a weird way. And without kind of going into a lot of explanation about this, I'm going to flip over to the screen here, and yes, we're going to take just kind of a look over at a Wikipedia image because it was the quickest one I could find. But this is what we're talking about here. Now, basically what happens with this is you have two areas of low pressure, okay? So we got Rina on the right in this case, and then we got Phillippe on the left. Phillippe, both of them are going to kind of orbit around a center point here. And again, this is not, saving you guys a long physics explanation of what's going on here. But basically, this interaction will cause the one on the left to kind of move down to the south. It'll cause the one on the right to move up towards the north. Again, they're just kind of orbiting each other in a weird way. Now, there's a lot of other factors that go on with this. Again, we don't typically see them doing, this their entire lives. Sometimes they do, but for the most part, it generally is just kind of a, quick little type of thing that, well, anyways, you get what I'm saying. So if we take a look here at this example, and I believe this might have been the one that Fujiwara might have actually studied, but regardless of the fact, if you take a look at the one on the left, you see how it starts up at the north, drops down to the south. Let's take a look here what the Hurricane Center is expecting Phillippe to do. Phillippe is the one on the left. You can see it's going to be taking a drop down to the south. That's the interaction with Rina taking place. Eventually, it's going to go further up towards the north as it's going to get caught up in some upper level activity that'll drag it along. So what is Phillippe going to be doing? Well, it's going to be Fujiwara-ing. That's a word. It is now. All right, so it's basically going to be moving its way to the southwest as it kind of, interacts with Rena a little bit. But folks, it's really not having a good time of it, and there's a lot of uncertainty with this forecast. And again, a lot of it is whether or not Phillippe is even going to maintain itself as a tropical system through the end of this forecast, which only goes out to about 5 days. So there is a lot of uncertainty with Phillippe. Phillippe is not very strong. The convection is kind of all over the place. It's not a very organized system, and that is something that has been noted with much of Philippe's life. Is that it just really has had a hard time getting itself organized here. So even if it does survive the next couple of days, there's still a lot of uncertainty as to what could happen afterwards, whether or not it just kind of falls apart or whether it gets absorbed, maybe tries to intensify a little bit. The atmosphere further up towards the north, maybe a little bit better, but we're still looking pretty far out here. And with the way Phillippe is going, well, he has been going though. Got to give him points, man. Got to give him points. This system has been hit as hard as as hard as a tropical system sometimes can get hit, and it's still trying to go. So there's that. All right, what about Rina here? Well, Rina's probably not going to be faring too much better per se. In the fact that it's also going to be in somewhat of a wind sheared environment that's going to really kind of hinder its intensification. Once we go past this weekend, or once we go into this weekend, I guess I should say the wind shear might actually increase a little bit more, but then it might begin to kind of taper down as we go into next week. Now, by that point, though, it's still way out into the open waters, well away from land. I mean, obviously, the nearest land point by the time we get towards the beginning of next work week will be Bermuda, but that's pretty much about it. Now, what will be interesting to see, though, is that as we have talked about, we are expecting that Phillippe will also begin to kind of take a little bit of a turn to the north, as well as Rina also taking a little bit of a turn to the north. So it'll be kind of interesting to see if those two will continue to kind of interact with each other in a little bit of a way. But pretty interesting there. Again, these are not strong tropical systems. Both of these guys are actually kind of barely tropical systems. As a matter of fact, I believe here, let's see if I can't pull up the old Saffir-Simpson wind scale chart. This is what we use to rate tropical systems in the Atlantic, East, and Central Pacific. They are rated, whatever. They are rated also in other parts of the world, but their scales, typhoons and cyclones, all the same thing, just different names. They sometimes have slightly different classifications. But what we're talking about here, we're using the Saffir-Simpson wind scale. Again, tropical depression is the weakest one. When those first develop, they typically just get a number. Once they become a tropical storm, they'll get their name. Even if it drops back down below that, back down to tropical depression, it'll still keep its name once it gets its name until it just completely, disintegrates. However, if it intensifies to a hurricane, which is 74 mile an hour winds, bottom left there is the mile per hour wind scale. These are all the meters per second, the top left, knots top right, and then kilometers per hour at bottom right. All the same thing, just different units. All right, so 74 to 95 mile an hour winds is a Category 1 hurricane, and there's 2, 3, 4, and 5. So take a look here, guys. 40 mile an hour winds on the 45 for Phillippe, 40 for Rina. These barely tropical storm intensities here. So that's what's expected there of a quick look over at the tropics. Otherwise, that's kind of we'll just kind of leave it at that. Again, since this is kind of a late posting, we won't take much of a look at the weather across the U.S., but we will be doing that tomorrow. So make sure you tune in for that, as well as other fun things. Again, one more time before you forget, awsc.live. Make sure you put that into your browser and make sure you subscribe to that page. That's when these weather chats will be posted only beginning next week. All right, everyone. I hope you all have a good rest of your Thursday evening. Tomorrow's Friday. Hope you all have a good one, everyone. And we'll see you back here tomorrow evening for the next weather chat. Have a good one, everyone.